to prepare my job on the screen. I'm said and government of Tchad and social police structure through press and asked me to come here. I thank them to be with you for the 3 days this morning with the theme between participants, between you in your speeches in agreement with, in relation with, we heard that. Thank you. At the arrival at the airport, were in the welcome room, I saw the notices of the Minister of Environment. Let us build together a prosperous Chad in harmony with the environment. This is what is something striking for me. And also we saw the notice of EcoBank. We don't know Chad, but we've seen that. On the floor near our room, there was an exposition, a commercial exposition. I also saw a book of education to resilience, to food security, to produce quality food, ecological, and working, catching, sun-ray capture to use for cooking. This is to say that the local context of this news efforts are there. We've seen that, and we'll talk about them, but to see how we can do more in the international context. Efforts of the Sahelian countries, such as G5 for the security of the region, but also a dimension of development, and it's more articulate. There is a concern for the environment, and I think that these also resources for the bank. People are missing resources, but they can work to take, and young people want to immigrate, go out of the country. There is also the climate change, new version in the countries of West country, conscious of what to do to create a green wall, and it's still important. It will help us in our activities, this idea. Thank you, Mr. Abiri, President of the Association, African Association. You talked about the resilience for the climate and also about the economy. Thank you for your support and illustration. And you, members, this is well articulated, and we'll try to traduce this into our program that will be put into action after we are gone. Also allow me, Mrs. Anita, to remind that there are environmental challenges we've seen in Chad, but we need to also see the social aspect of problem. The lack of employment for youth, 11 million because of the work, 70%, 65% of the population, of the active population is less than 24 years old. So the country should prepare to transmit this market of work, job market, in one way or the other. Here are the slides on which we'll discuss. We'll also see tomorrow something open in employment. I'd like to talk about employment and environment. and some instruments of the policy in this domain. Let's look at employment and environment together. A red arrow shows the challenges. You see the catastrophe of flood, typhoons in Philippines hit in 2014 and with loss of life. But it's not the only case. And here there are lack of water. It's very difficult to find drinking water, especially heavy on women on animal breeding. And on electronic waste from China and Commission can close the frontiers in order not to allow the waste. By 2019 January, nothing will be imported from China for recycling. And this is a good country to develop your own industry instead of sending the waste to be in China. There is one fish, you just catch one fish. It's very difficult to fish in many countries. And people are overfishing our oceans and seas. There is here a green arrow of hope. A person working in construction will compress bricks instead of cement with gas emissions. And there is a coating, ecological coating, and there is formal recycling in Brazil to protect youth for working, but they are having a happy life. Here, a woman setting up a panel solar, which is increasing and employing women. On climate, heating up and resources. I talked about the Philippines, where there is economical loss, roads destroyed, and businesses and agriculture, and they lost 800,000 jobs to the typhoon. Not only developing countries that are affected. Look at the typhoon in the United States that moved 1,500 workers, and many people lost their wealth. And there is a cost of rebuilding after the typhoon, and the cost of adaptation to a new or a negative effect of the typhoon that is very high and very difficult to finance. A very important element for Africa, because it depends on the ecoculture. There is, by 2050, the temperature will increase by 1.5 degrees. In 10 years, we'll lose for F-86 production in the region, because people work in the open air. People work outside, and there is a shock on them. And population will suffer of increase of temperature that is irregular, and also the change in climate. Agriculture will be more and more affected, and this is can be prevented, because people don't have access to new technology. don't know how to treat the weather, how to protect the plants and improve and be resilient. And those people who have lost their grocery, all the result of the work, there is no insurance for it. But now there is a new situation to help people about harvest, but it's still very expensive for people to join in. They're also preparing some land for growing coffee or other things to obtain. The more you go up the mountains, they'll provide by 30 years. In West Africa, 4.5% of loss of employment by 2030, I guess. By 2013, because the agency working in building, people work in the open without a roof, they are exposed. In China, we found that for the heating of, and it affects people working outside economically. This is provided by the Bureau of International Work a year ago, and there is more economical threat added to this. Employment need environment. I just explained extraction of products, industrial production, and words are sensible to degradation of the environment. 1.2 billion are linked to the good functioning of the service environment. The global force of work, fishing, forest, everything with water and air, fresh air. These resources, the quality, are concerned. If fishing fails, 86 million people will suffer. In Senegal, less and less people work in the domain of fish in Senegal. It is one of the countries suffering, and there is also a problem of experience. The indigenous people, rural, are the people suffering, depending more on the ecosystem. 90% of this population are pure people. Poor people depend on them. As calculated, the rate of rural people are more depending. If countries with little revenue, for example, Benin and Senegal, are affected. Even the Netherlands is affected. Kees, my name is Kees. The Netherlands is under the level of the sea. I was born minus 4 meters below the level of sea. The government is trying to adopt to work for the increase of the level of the sea. If the water comes from the Alps, the level of the sea will come very fast. There will be too much water in our country, and we'll have to move from our land and go to higher ground. And the fight against flood and increase of the level of water, we're doing government working to try to mitigate this effect. We'll come back on it. Environmental, economic, and social challenges in Africa. Youth are the more concerned with these challenges. They are making efforts for the training made by the ministry. So youth work a lot. They are courageous, but they need to do more. And the green economy will something new that will help to increase, to help youth more. I think, yes, we will show you this is possible, and this, it won't solve all the problem, but maybe 4, 5, 10% is important. It will help. It cannot help totally because the problem is so big. And this is one problem among others. Une parenthèse. The equality between genders. The changes that is. The climate change changes for everybody, but women are more affected because they depend more on these natural resources. 70% of work is done by women, and they are also very concerned with the management of water, management of drinking water. They are the more concerned, more affected. We need to think about this and have a policy according to the situation. But it's good news. There are also good news. This is an example on the left here. Is a solar panel. They can make it, they can create it, install it, and sell it. They can create and sell them. This is a case of Bangladesh. In the middle, Brazilian women work in agriculture, and it's increasing the sale of organic products. And this is an emerging market. Uganda, Kenya. Here, women working in the field of construction. The possibility that women work in it, but they don't have the necessary competence. This is the work you need to do as helper for employment and to create the employability of the youth, and so that they can have access to these job posts. This is a macroeconomic model by the United Nations of the environment, on the environment. The darker are prevision of increase of the country. Businesses continue to do things as usual, and the lighter is a scenario of provision if we change and got into green economy. It will also help us reduce gas emission and other gases. Two actions in the sector that will help to reduce the bad effects that destroy our potential economy. This plan has been accepted by international agencies for green increase, green improvement in their countries and throughout banks of development, African Bank of Development, like in Conakry. They are now meeting to discuss in Conakry about involvement of the bankers. Green economy can provide increased economic improvement. At the beginning, there should be some loss, but the inclusion of the economy, political economy, of green economy will be helpful. It should be helpful measure to ensure it. There is a lot of work to do in the sector of new and renewable energy, heating, solar heaters. And this is a business that is regular in Canada, and it offers employment, and people offer their job force to the Netherlands, where there is an rapid increase. In France, there is a deficit. France is deficient in new renewable energy, and the market of job market. One person working on mills here with aeolian energy. This is also extensively used in countries where there is wind, and people working in sugar cane, like in Brazil, with the organic waste of sugar canes are used to create biomass for energy and recycling of secondary projects. There is sugar and the waste. Sugar is produced and the waste is used for produce energy throughout the country. This is a circular economy or linear between a product consumed, we consume, and we use what we don't use for something else in another sector of production, and there is a loop that goes around and it becomes circular instead of just being linear. So one example of what recycling of organic waste is that gives the biggest part of energy, produces the bigger part of energy in Brazil. Now in our business of market of job market, what is happening? Green energy business is being set up in many countries, and there is creation of employment, substitution, and sale. I cannot read everything for you, but it is long in this renewable sector, renewable energy sector. It's new. This adds up to the job market. And also reduces the gas emission. If countries regulate it very strictly, there are challenges and joblessness in the industry of packaging. We have more cardboard, and people bring their bags to reduce the use in this condition. There is consumption. In consumption, there are jobs of combustibles that change now. There is electricity, and then there is a problem of gas. Now it is decentralized as combustible. This behavior is changing progressively because of transportation and stocks that are set up differently, and it is going to become something ecological. The change of drivers, they need to change. Here at the hotel, there's a lot to be in ecological use of light, air conditioning, and all this. In a country like Tchad, there's no controversy. In many hotels, there are people who take into consideration the ecological management of the hotel, like heaters, water heating and so on. These hotels will be certified in the use of, as internationally, in the use of ecological means. Tourists now choose hotels with ecological conscience in the practice of the management. In flight, there are so many flights, planes, and if we can reduce the energy, this work can be created. The change of behavior of the personnel to think about the spend of expensive energy every day and have some kind of rating in the use of ecological management, this crisis managing. There is a lot of things being set up to accompany and accelerate the management of ecological energy. To see the text, there is restrictions here. It's descent. This will help us reduce the effect of gas emission, to reduce contamination and protect our ecosystem. The dimension of use of gas, respect norm of international work, and respect the balance between men, women, and age, people, and the origin of the workers and countries. 3, to ensure social protection and open a social dialogue with partners, the cooperatives, businesses, to understand that the work becomes more decent and the economy becomes green. Well, decent people have decided this economic and environmental idea. In practice, there are 3 categories of job: treatment and production processes and services. The people engaged in the process in industries use oil in a garage, and the process of produce, the process becomes conscious of the environment and takes it into account. Another category is one that produces recycled stuff, like on the tail, made with plastic to replace plastic. Plastic made with local materials, with local project and less energy. This is a green production, for it produces green employment. Examples: of a green building of a demonstrative house, compressed bricks with dirt to replace cement, and wood is made of wood from the forest. And then to conduct for the water, to collect water, and there is a problem for electronic communication. And there is a solar energy capture, and the building is built with environmental friendly materials. that does not create emissions, and it uses water, it takes solar energy. It is isolated, you cannot see, but these small houses were built by people trained in the field of solar energy. And I will show you that tomorrow. There is also a market. There are grass mines. Many people want to live there, and people replicated this model in their houses. This is originally at the mines, brass mines, but people have copied and built it at their homes. And recycling machines, there is a post somewhere here, a little bit of post to block the passage, and this to put around the parks in Kenya, in Nairobi. Before, the posts were made of metal and are stolen by people who want to reuse them. Now that there are plastic posts, no one wants them. It was used in particular houses as a fence. And this person now employing hundreds of people. I've been long, but I will ask this question. I want people around the tables discuss it. Are there green countries in your country? And how is it going? Is it increasing or decreasing? Now let's come to reality. In West Africa, studies were made for countries like Burkina, Rwanda, Ghana, and Senegal. In the sector, we talked about renewable energy and durable and aquaculture and forestry, protection of forestry. These are sectors with producing new employment. We see the increase of renewable energy throughout the world. It's increasing since 2017. It's going. It's in China that there are so many solar panels brought to the country. Brazil and the United States also producing. North Africa also producing. We talked about Mauritania and Morocco and Tunisia. They have now managed to get how to harness solar energy. IRENA, International Agency or Renewable Energy, working every year and providing details by country. You see, you can check in your country through your computer. This brings changes in competence. They prepare people because there is tension. In Burkina Faso, people say that needs of competence is from renewable energy and solar. Or there are many businesses. We found that 30% of responses said energy, solar energy, 11% for electricity, 11% environment economy. and then the capability of management, monitoring of products. There is a perspective here in the need of the work job market, and now training people, and they will penetrate the other zones. It's at the end of the presentation. Look at the tools of the domain, political domains, the training and experience in work and subvention and social help, promotion of entrepreneurship, and we'll see tomorrow in the transformation of values in agriculture, where there are many possibilities to promote employment of young people, promotion of public work and assistance of job searching. With this, I'd like to ask to insist on the green aspects of it, the improvement of employment in green domain, what we just saw for Burkina, about renewable energy and new training in new professions and new technology, not between the peasants but businesses. People have means and bring support. And promotion of employment in the private sector in terms of green employment, to mobilize your brothers and sisters, Minister of Energy to the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Plant, and fund this sector. And people who come from Netherlands to buy ecological products. That you make the request coming from the businesses to make them competent. And the third one is social protection and environment. At the same time, help local women in the work, agricultural work. This is very important, and this is an involvement of young people, but it needs money to fund this public promotion of employment. They have a lot of work to do, but if we look at the work under social protection, then better orient them towards durable environmental issues, protection roads. In the conclusion, climate change destroyed employment and means of subsistence, but transition offers potential for creation of employment. The change, it will and this will help demographic increase. These are key factors in the development of economy at level of government. This is translated into necessity to have employment products to anticipate the means and accompany and help and readapt the workers that lose their jobs to do something different in the sector of agriculture. They can produce different types of crops, promote including technology, And I'll come back again on it. And help for the durability of environment and work, green work, and provide employment to homes with little revenue. I leave Mr. Mustafa for the initiatives are working, Mr. Gay, and I can give you his contact. He's working for Canada. He has Sahelian Initiative Stability. And there are many initiatives. From time to time he goes there, go talk with them, insert the ideas into the employment production. Thank you. To the end of my presentation.